You guys want to jump into the segment?
Yes.
Depends on what
we
it
should do
is.
the segment.
Depends on what
Yeah,
the
what
segment.
is it?
What is the segment?
The segment. Oh, okay. So the segment. This was one that we Anthony and I a few months back before we cracked the microphones open, wrote down a bunch of stuff, a bunch of things to kind of go over and use as topics. And this was one that I've been kind of excited about, but we've been saving. It's summertime. You want to roll the windows down. You want to be listening to happy music. You want to be getting excited. This is, albums that are mood lifters, that are, make you feel good. Those ones you hear that opening, guitar solo, guitar riff, and you just crank the jukebox, crank the CD up, crank everything up, right? That's what these are. So this is what did you call it, Twan? It's like
Mood lifters.
Mood lifters or
Posy vibes only.
Posy vibes only, baby. Yeah. Cool. All right, who's going next? Nate, you or me?
You want to go, Tim?
Yeah, I can go. I got one locked and loaded. So this is one that I initially it popped right into my head.
Nice.
This band's been together, would be celebrating their 30th anniversary this year. They've been a band longer than that, but these the core guys have been together for 30 years. Does that give you any hint?
Unwritten Law.
Nope. They one more hint. They their name
Green Day.
Their name pertains to the only former member and how he got in trouble.
311.
Yep.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Sound system.
311.
Sound system.
No, close. No, the great album and obviously would fit this, but not
music.
Yes, it's music. Yep.
Oh, sweet.
Yep. So whenever I'm in a bad mood, or even like start to feel one coming on, if I toss 311's Music, which came out February 9th, 1993 on Capricorn Records, I immediately feel better. It just like by the middle of the first song, I'm like, all right, am I really that mad? Like, how can I be mad listening to this? It's just fun. There's some upbeat, there's some chill vibes. The whole thing fits. So for me, key tracks on that are Do You Right, which is the only single. Feel So Good.
Feel So Good, yes.
Yeah, Freak Out. Freak Out's a great song. Unity's just a banger of a song. It's a little heavier for them.
Yep.
Nick's Hex is cool. My Stony Baby. The list goes on. There's not a bad song on this record. I listened to it today, and funny, it went gold in 1999. It took 6 years to get to gold. I think it's the only one on my list that went gold. But yeah, that one. I just immediately I'm in a good mood, and it's a total summer vibes. Roll the windows down, crank the tunes. Great kind of noodling from Tim Mahoney, who had joined the band in 1990, and Peanut obviously beat that thing, right? The bassist, he just kills it, especially towards the end of the record when they tell him to. They just unleash him on some tracks. So it's a fun record to listen to. Did you guys know that they have My Stony Baby was on a movie soundtrack? Can you guess the movie soundtrack it was on?
51st Dates.
Think of a stoner comedy.
Half Baked.
Close. Harold and Kumar, the second Harold and Kumar.
Oh, wow.
Escape from Guantanamo Bay. Because we needed two of those, right? Man. But yeah, this album they put together, they had 5 new songs. The rest of them were ones they kind of reworked from indie releases that they'd put out before. So pretty cool. Same lineup for 30 years. They were gonna do some touring and be out for their 30th anniversary as a band this year, but with COVID, that's not going to happen. They were one of the last concerts to happen, right? Back on 311 day and that weekend, we were like, what are we doing here, guys, in Vegas? Yeah. But so I'm driving up to my dad's today to get a haircut, and I'm thinking to myself, listen to the album, and I remember, you know what? I remember doing, Twan, do you remember Spanish class? We had to like pick a thing and talk about it in Spanish for like 5 minutes. And only in Spanish. Senior year.
Vaguely.
Yeah. So I picked 311.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, I'm going to talk about 311 in Spanish for 5 minutes.
Tres Once?
Yeah, exactly. Tres Once. So I like printed out a couple of pictures, whatever. I got my notes together. I'm just about ready to go up and present. And I realized the only picture I have of Nick Hexum, there's a gigantic bong in it. And I'm getting ready to present this to class. And I'm like, oh, shit. So I grabbed a marker and just blacked the bong out and went up there and held my picture up. I think I was the only one that knew, but I was like, holy shit, there's a bong in this picture.
Although knowing our teacher, he would have been into it.
Oh yeah, he definitely would have been into it. Yeah. P Dubs, he would have been into it. Yeah, Buddy Lee. Oh man, but yes, that was the story that hit me today as I was driving. I'm like that. Oh yeah, that was funny. Wow. And I did okay in the presentation, and spoke my Spanish and got out. What do you guys have?
Oh man, that's awesome, dude. That album, I agree, is a lift mooder, a uprising on emotion for sure. It puts me in a good mood for sure. Do you have that on wax?
I do.
Nice, that's awesome.
Yep.
Wait, didn't they have an album Uplifter later in the game?
Yeah, they did. I think that's what I was thinking.
I mean, you can't, like you said, sound system. You can't get in a bad mood. I mean, the reason that I'm into them is because of sound systems. One, I burned that off of you and listened to it a ton junior year of high school. So.
Yeah, man, I love that album. I got into those 311 albums early too because I had a friend's brother, the same brother that got me into Rage, got me into those 311 albums, and I'm like, nice, this music's badass.
Ian?
Yep, exactly. Yeah, he spun those records all the time, and I was always like fascinated that they were from Omaha. It's like, wow.
I know, yeah. Ian is Mike, one of our listeners, one of our hardcore fans in Texas. That's his older brother. So shout out to Mike and Ian.
Yeah.
So two things come to mind. Well, many things do, but a couple notable things. The intro track is called Welcome. So it's just like it sets the tone, and musically it sets the tone. But also, I'm actually pulling up the wiki on this album, and it was recorded at Ocean Studios in Burbank, California. And it's like, there's a reason why bands go out to Cali to record. There's a vibe out there, and this album catches that vibe. Yeah, without a doubt.
Absolutely. I mean, they have that kind of Southern California sunny day vibe going now too. They've made their bones on that over the years. So, but I mean, it started with this and moved into some of the other records that are very similar. They don't all sound the same. They've had big records since then too. Self-Titled comes to mind in '95 with Down and All Mixed Up. But yeah, they're. Those early records really up through From Chaos in 03 and even into the one that came after it, Evolver. That's kind of the heyday for me. I remember seeing them. We saw them at the State Theater and that tiny with Hoobastank and that on the From Chaos tour in spring of 02. That would have been around the same time. So pretty cool.
Wow. Yeah, I remember this album kind of opened the doors to cannabis culture for me at a young age because I didn't really know what it was. And you see like the pot leaves and all the songs like feel so good. And it's literally talking about getting high. I'm just like, oh wow, what is this? What are they talking about? I'm like a young little like middle schooler.
My Stony baby, hydroponic.
Yeah, it's like all weed related.
Lots of weed. Yeah, lots of weed references. Up to the point where you're printing off pictures of Nick Hex and he's got a bong in front of him. So
I saw them in 2003 at the Hammerstein Ballroom in New York, and
nice.
They had a big, bands have big backdrops. Mm-hmm. Theirs was just a big pot leaf, and that was 03. Right. I mean, it wasn't now. Everyone would, wouldn't blink at it, but back then it was like edgy. Yeah. It was like, wow, they're taking a risk with their brand. I mean, if you know them, that comes with it. But if you're
especially
a casual
now,
fan,
it doesn't matter. But yeah.
If you were a casual fan back then, you're like, ooh, wow.
Was that fall of 03? It must have been.
I can't remember
because they came to Portland in November on that tour, so I'm assuming it's the same.
I think it was summer.
Oh, okay. Well, it would have probably been the beginning of that tour then.
It was with Something Corporate, which is a weird Andrew McMahon.
Yeah, that is a weird band. Yeah, that's a different tour then because when we saw him, Alien Ant Farm opened for him in Portland. Oh, yeah. So an underrated band too, Alien Ant Farm. That anthology's great.
And Hammerstein's a great venue. It's one.
Yeah, I liked it at the time. It haven't been almost 20 years, but.
Yeah, New York. We got to go to New York. We're going to go when Rage comes back. So that's
happening.
It's just got to happen. Yeah. And Brad's going to get us in.
That's so cool.
All right. Ready for my second one? Yeah. All right. So my second one, Nate, you and I have seen this band together twice and almost 3 times, but your old landlord wouldn't let us in.
Oh, wow. Clutch.
Yes. Clutch. Any idea which album?
Last Tyrant.
Hell yeah!
Nice.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So the other hint I was going to give was it was put out twice. Once on DRT Entertainment originally in 04, and then they re-released it with some acoustic-y stuff back in 2011. Blast Tyrant, just a front to back, just tour de force Clutch record, probably their best, and they've had a lot of good records. And I think really from this album to today, there aren't many bad ones. There's a couple stumbling blocks on albums where they're not necessarily front to backs for me, but this one was a front to back, and it started here for me as far as a fandom went with Clutch. Nate got me into them with this album, so super just tight. They were together, like all four of the members were just, everything played off each other so well. The solos are great, the drums are great, Neil's vocals are awesome, the songs are just weird and awesome and jammy and rocky, and it was just cool. Nobody sounds like Clutch. Clutch is Clutch. There's nobody else out there that can do what Clutch does. I mean, there are people that try, but Clutch is, for me, the gold standard as far as stoner rock stuff goes. So yeah, I mean, I got a couple things. The key tracks for me, Mob Goes Wild, which is an awesome video that Bam Margera directed. That's Bam Margera from Jackass fame. And Ryan Dunn's in it. Rest in peace. He died in a car accident a few years ago. And Don Vito, remember Viva La Bam, his fat uncle. He's in it. And then Brandon DiCamillo from the Jackass crew. They're all in that video. It's a pretty cool video. I'll link to that on Twitter later on. Regulator's a great song. Subtle Hustle's a great song. Just from the beginning guitar solo with the drums at the start of Mercury and to open the album, it's about a minute and a half long, and then Neil comes in with his this just scream and vocals. It's just this, you're in for a ride. You're like, this is gonna be awesome. So yeah, Blast Tyrant by Clutch. Just roll the windows down, baby.
Nate, you mentioned something in a recent episode where it was something to the effect of they're a great band to enjoy with an IPA. If I think of drinking an IPA, and if I were to do like a word association IPA with a band, it would be Clutch. Oh yeah, for sure. Like that.
100%. Yeah. No, that's a good point. Super heavy on the Simcoe and Mosaic hops. Nice, tasty double IPA and Clutch, and that album is specifically because like you said, Tone, it's a front to back. So, what was it? What year? 04?
04. Yeah, that's 16.
Damn.
Back in March 23rd, 2004.
I think this is I'd have to look at my CD booklet, but I have 2 Clutch albums. This is definitely one of them on CD.
Yep.
Sweet.
Yep. I have it on wax because of course I do.
Oh, nice.
Boozy vinyl. It may make it to our Sunday spins this week. Who knows?
Sweet. Yeah, the artwork for that album is pretty sweet. It was weird too because it's always the album. This kind of goes back to the 311 thing. When 311 Sound System came out, I was like bummed because I really liked their actual logo, and I was like, why'd they change it up? But now I'm like, oh, it makes sense because the album's different and the artwork kind of corresponds. So same with Clutch. Like Clutch is, like you said, Tone, kind of in their own category, but that album Blast Tyrant is like kind of separated from everything else. I don't know why. It's just like a front to back.
It just kind of sits on its own, which is weird because did you ever listen to Psychic Warfare? Came out a couple years ago, probably 4 or 5 years. I feel like that's kind of Blast Tyrant 2.0. It's very similar vein. Great record. I love that one too, front to back. And Earth Rocker that came out before it is similar, but a little different in spots. But yeah, I mean, Blast Tyrant feels like it's its own entity as far as the albums in their collection go. And they have some pretty awesome records in there. I mean, they've been doing it for 25, 30 years. So yeah, they're a cool band to dive into if you haven't.
Yeah, if you listen to those records kind of in chronological order too, you can kind of see the progression, especially if the first record's super like out there, self-titled. And then I think their first, I guess Elephant Riders was their first like
that one's great too. Yeah,
Columbia Records. But Pure Rock Fury is where Mike, what's that? Careful with the Mic was a big single.
Careful with that Mic and Pure Rock Fury and yep.
I got into Clutch. That's awesome. I got you into Clutch. I didn't even know that. I got into Clutch from like the blue collar working on the ocean front with a bunch of people unloading fish off the docks in Maine.
Yep.
Like nice. Clutch was like kind of a staple band for one of the guys that ran like the one of those things.
Fish market.
Yeah, Fish Market. Yeah, so he was huge into Clutch, so I got into Clutch that way, and then they were playing the Asylum where I was 21 only at that point, unfortunately.
I know, we were 20. And he was like, no, you guys can't go in. I was like, damn it. Dude, we're not going to drink. We just want to see Clutch.
Yeah.
Where was that at?
The Asylum.
Damn.
Yeah, when they changed to 21 plus.
Yep.
But it's funny because it as much as I love it and it has connotations to fun times, kind of always has a flashback of like those working the pier, sorting fish species at 5 a.m. on a Saturday when you're like a young high school kid and you're like, I should be friggin' having fun, but instead I'm doing this, but I'm making like $15 an hour or whatever for a high school kid. It's not bad.
No, that's great. especially in 2000 or 99.
Yeah, I might be exaggerating how much, but I remember it was more than the average, 9 to 5.
It's better than the $7.25 I was making selling running shoes. So
yeah, exactly.
It shows you how much you associate albums with the times. Like that NFG album, I associate it with that summer, and that's all I think about with that album, and it brings me back. Like with The Urge, I'm sure it brings you back the same thing with Clutch. The first time you heard them or heard the album or you saw them live. It's pretty powerful how music can do that.
Well, we saw him twice at the State Theater, once like 8 or 9 years ago, right after Christmas, and then once right before you left, Nate, springtime. So it was probably 7 years ago. And those were both killer shows. Like they were just in their element. They were a blast. So they're a great live band on top of the fact that they put out some fun, loud, heavy, fun, fast records.
Mm-hmm. The lyrics are all over the place.
Yeah.
Really weird music.
Yeah, Neil's an interesting character.
Yeah.
Put the vibes out there, Neil, if you're listening.
Yeah, Neil, we did shut you. I think I did message you on Instagram the other day. So we'd love to have you on, man. Big fans.
Nice.